Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm your host, Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for being here Wednesday, April 2nd. Really appreciate y'all tuning in and supporting the channel. So, the Jaguars, the NFL draft, it's less than a month away, folks. It is April 24th. It's currently April 2nd. We've got about 3 weeks. Tomorrow will be the exact 3-week mark until the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. And this is where the Jaguars have been clear. They're trying to build through the draft with this regime. And I know that has been said before. I think it's pretty clear based on the free agency process that that is absolutely the truth with this regime. I just think what they intended to do through free agency was raise the floor of this team right now. I think what they're intending to do through the draft is continue to build on the foundation that is there, because there is a foundation. When you look at Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., your edge rushers, your offensive tackles, Tyson Campbell, some of the other guys on the team, right? Can't forget about your special teamers. Best special teams in the league. Logan Cook, Ross Matisic, Cam Little, and a lot of really good guys who do a good job on the different phases of special teams. But I think, again, this is going to be a foundational draft for the Jaguars because they've got a top 5 pick. They have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds and 6 picks in the first 4 rounds, right? They have a lot of draft capital. They absolutely do. And beyond that, they have a 5th round pick, 2 6th round picks, and a 7th round pick. So the team's sitting here right now with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 draft picks in 2025. So we're going to continue talking about all the different players they could potentially take. But today is more of a look at just could the Jaguars potentially trade from the first round on down in this 2025 NFL draft. And what we're going to do is look at what could make sense for the Jaguars based on the track record of what the Los Angeles Rams have done, especially over the last couple years, where James Gladstone has been, among the top leaders for the Rams in the draft and their draft process, right? So that's what we're kind of going to do today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in, supporting the channel. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel further, check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear like the hat I'm wearing right now. So the Jaguars, will they trade draft picks at some point in the 2025 NFL draft? In my opinion, the answer is very probably yes. There's no guarantees. It takes 2 to tango, as Trent Baalke would like to tell you, and it does. But based on the track record of what we've seen from the Rams, based on the fact that the Jaguars do have 10 draft picks, I think it's very likely you see a draft day trade. They have executed a draft day trade, the Rams have, the last 4 years. And the year before that, they traded for Jalen Ramsey, right? So they've been very busy on draft day. Now, I think the big question everyone's kind of asking is, will they trade their first round pick? The answer for that is probably not. I certainly don't think they're going to trade up. I've had some people ask me what a trade up would look like potentially for like a Travis Hunter. I just don't see that happening. Maybe it could. You never know. James Gladstone, the Rams, they were very aggressive to go pursue Jalen Ramsey. Maybe if they thought that Travis Hunter could be a elite player and they don't feel like they can find that at 5 or trading down, maybe they do trade up. It's possible. I don't want to rule out anything, because to sit here and do that when we've never seen James Gladstone lead a draft before, never seen Liam Cohen as a head coach help lead a draft before, that would be folly. We simply don't know. But most analytical draft minds view trading up, especially early on, as not the smartest move unless you're trading up for your quarterback. If the Jaguars were wanting to trade up to like 3 to land Travis Hunter and he was still on the board, something like that, what would they have to give up from 5? I'm not sure. Probably a day 2 pick. Probably a day 2 pick. Should they do that? Again, I probably wouldn't. I lean that they probably wouldn't as well. I don't want fans to think the Jaguars are going to sit here and likely trade up for Travis Hunter. In all likelihood, that probably won't happen, but it is possible. So that's just something to keep in mind. I would bet against it, though. I don't think that they will trade up with their first round pick. Could they trade down? That's an interesting one. I think they could, and I did that yesterday in a mock draft scenario where the Saints wanted to trade up from 9 to take Shedeur Sanders. Could the Jaguars trade down in that situation? Yeah. I do think Mason Graham would be a great pick for them at 5, but I have Mason Graham and his teammate Will Johnson stacked at 4 and 5 overall on my big board. I don't really see a reason why a team like the Jaguars and the way they evaluate prospects, at least based on what we know from James Gladstone's past with the Rams, why they wouldn't value someone like Will Johnson. So could you trade down to 9 and still land Will Johnson and also, add extra draft capital? That makes a lot of sense. That would not shock me. But I do think it would probably require Shedeur Sanders falling to 5, or Abdul Carter falling to 5, or Travis Hunter falling to 5. I honestly think if Carter or Hunter falls to 5, both of them will not fall to 5. It's possible that one of them does. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. The scenario there is 2 quarterbacks come off the board, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. You have one of Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter coming off the board, and you have the Patriots taking an offensive lineman. That's how one of Carter or Hunter could fall to 5. So in that scenario, I probably wouldn't trade because those 2 guys are at the top of my board. Travis Hunter at 1 and Abdul Carter at 2. And I think that they are pretty clearly in a tier just from a physical, athletic, and football playing standpoint above the rest of this class outside of Ashton Genty. And Ashton Genty plays running back, so we're not really going there, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think if the draft goes the way I expect, which is 2 quarterbacks to come off the board and Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter to come off the board before the Jaguars pick, yes, I would be very good with trading back, even if that means missing out on Mason Graham, because you look at the list of interior defensive linemen in this class, I would be more than okay with, taking BPA at 9 or whatever position you trade down to, and then taking your top interior defensive lineman in the second round. Now, waiting beyond the second round, I don't love that because as deep as this class is, I think it's going to get eaten up quick. I think if you wait till the third round, if you wait till pick 70 or 88 to try to address the interior defensive line, maybe you get a guy, maybe you do, but I'm thinking a lot of these guys are going to, I wouldn't be surprised if 10 plus interior defensive linemen go in the top 60 picks. I really wouldn't. I think that's how good of a class this is. So something to keep in mind. I think a trade down is much more likely than a trade up. I think the most likely scenario in the first round is probably picking at 5. But that's just kind of how I view that. Moving into day 2, I think a trade up or trade down gets a lot more likely, like significantly more likely with these Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's getting pretty dark in here. Still trying to work on the lighting in the new studio. Sorry about that, guys. So moving into day 2, last year you saw the Rams trade up for Braden Fisk to pair with Jared Verse, who they selected in the first round, 2 teammates from Florida State who played next to each other quite a bit at Florida State and had a lot of success doing so. And that was a lot of fun to see. Not a Florida State fan, but I follow Florida State pretty closely just due to the fact that most of my friends are Florida State fans. So seeing Braden Fisk and Jared Verse go there together was absolutely amazing. I'm not suggesting the Jaguars will do that again this year in the second round, pairing up. You could say Mason Graham and Josiah Stewart, right? You could say that, the Michigan interior defensive lineman and edge rusher there. They could do that. You never know. But again, I think a trade up gets more likely in round 2. I don't know if I would say it's likely. I would probably, again, bet against it if I had to bet one way or the other. But there is precedence for the Rams moving up aggressively for a player that they like in this range. They did it last year, and James Gladstone was, again, the last couple of years, he was much more heavily involved in what the Rams were doing from a draft process standpoint. So, and he was all over getting Fisk and Jared Verse there together. So it's possible that the Jaguars trade up in the second round. And again, with the amount of draft capital they have over not only 2025, but into 2026, 21 total draft picks the next 2 years, including 2025, 2026, right? You don't have to walk away from the draft with 10 plus picks every year. If you get 9 picks and you're able to trade up for a guy you really value in the second round, that could be a really good process, right? You have plenty of bites at the apple, plus you go get somebody you value very highly. And this could happen, again, the Jaguars have 3 picks on day 2. Now, could they trade back up into the first round from 36? We've seen the Jaguars do that in the past with Trent Baalke. It's, again, possible if the right guy falls to the right spot. I think with the ammunition they have at picks 36, 70, 88, 107, 126, and 142, and then the 6th round picks and 7th round picks, there's a good chance that could happen if the right guy falls. I don't think that they're going to shy away from being aggressive when they think it's going to lead to a major advantage for them. And then I think when you get to day 3, looking at 107, 126, 142, 182, 194, 221, I think there's a probability that a trade happens in that range. And now a lot of what the Rams have done on day 3 in recent years is they might take a pick, say at 107 or 126, and say, there's kind of a drop-off point in this draft where we feel like if we're drafting after pick, let's just arbitrarily, randomly say 150. We might not feel very confident that we're going to get one of our guys that we value highly on our board or in these buckets that we've created, as Liam Cohen talked about. So let's say we trade back from 107 to 115, whatever it may be, and we're able to acquire another top 150 pick. I think that's something that you could see the Jaguars potentially do. And again, those numbers are just arbitrary. But whatever the cutoff point is in this draft for this regime, whether that's 125, 150, 170, I don't know. But whatever that number is, I would not be surprised to see the Jaguars trade back to get one more bite at the apple in that top whatever amount where they feel like we're going to be able to get 2 guys that we really value for the price of 1 by trading back. Hopefully that makes sense for y'all. So again, will the Jaguars execute a draft day trade? I think the answer is likely yes. I would predict most likely it would be in the 3rd round. You do have precedent, and on day 3 of the draft, not the 3rd round. You do have precedence though for the Rams, James Gladstone, getting aggressive on day 2 as well. And they have made trades on draft day almost every single year for the last half decade. So that's kind of this look at, will the Jaguars make a draft day trade? I wouldn't be expecting the Jaguars to trade up at 5. I'm not expecting them to be able to trade down and kind of get the sort of draft capital that you would want in a trade down. Unless Shedeur Sanders falls or Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, I probably wouldn't trade down if I have a chance to draft Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And then again, day 2 could certainly see it happening. Not as likely though as day 3 of the 2025 NFL draft. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.